So welcome everybody. We're really excited to be able to talk with Scarpa today, and to do that, we've brought in a VIP VP. We'll call you Mark, somebody that I have actually worked with in the industry for about 20 years. Back when I was a rep in the early aughts, I was repping for Vask Footwear, and Mark was working there then, and I really enjoyed working with you then, Mark, and I learned a ton about footwear from you, and it's really fun to be able to reconnect after all these years and chat about Scarpa. Welcome.
I appreciate that, Marshall. Thanks a lot. Yeah, we shouldn't talk too much about the lengthy history that we both have. Might date ourselves, but yeah, I've had a long career in the outdoor industry and in footwear specifically, and really excited to have been at Scarpa for 16 years now, working on both the sales and the product side of things. And thanks for the opportunity to get in front of the audience here and talk about footwear. I can talk about footwear forever, so it's great to have the opportunity to do so.
Well, we got a half hour. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Mark, what is your role, right? Scarpa is not an American-based company. Tons of the name Scarpa, right? It's like leather in Italian, right? So but how do you interface with the European Scarpa, and what's your job?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Scarpa is a 85 plus year old family owned Italian footwear brand based in Northern Italy. But Scarpa North America is here in Boulder, Colorado, and we are the North American subsidiary. So we're responsible for basically, kind of managing Scarpa's presence, within the US and Canada. And what I do as the VP of sales is it's kind of a dual role of sales and product. So not only managing, our sales efforts, but also pretty deep into market analysis, product decision making, things like that. We take the global line, which is quite large, as many as 600 products in a given season, and distill that down to what we think the best offerings are for North America. So we're down to more like, if you count the ski boots, about 150 products. So about a fourth of the total global collection, but really just trying to pick the products that make the most sense for the North American market and give feedback to our parent company, of course.
Right, so it goes both ways. You're going to kind of select, okay, these are going to be relevant for our market, but when you are finding a hole or a gap, right, and we'll get into some of those products here tonight, you're able to give that feedback back to Scarpa, right? And as an industry veteran, they trust you.
Exactly correct. And this market is a large market on the global scene. And so it's super important for us to have a significant piece of the, kind of Scarpa's global business. So they definitely allow us to give a lot of feedback, and they take our feedback seriously. And many times that evolves sometimes into just special products that we only offer in North America and not the rest of the world. So yeah, it's a great back and forth relationship for sure.
No, it sounds interesting, and it's just fun to see kind of what you all have selected to bring over here and let us play with. So,
Yeah,
let's dive into some of those products right now.
let's do it.
Um, so let's begin with the Marine Polar Gore-Tex. This is a new boot, and this has a lot of cool features in it. What's the sort of the concept here? Who is this for? What do you envision that what's that suite of end users that would love this shoe?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a Moraine type of product in the product line for many years. It left for a year or two, but then it came back this past spring with basically just low cut and mid cut light hike products. This polar version we just launched for this fall season, and it's an insulated version, a little bit higher over the ankle, so a little bit more ankle support as well. Yeah, obviously you can see all the specs there, on the graphic. The key things, of course, are the protection. The Gore-Tex, the EPE membrane. We do have Primaloft pure insulation in it as well. Anything in green font here kind of calls out some sustainability aspects. So we're trying to incorporate recycled content and things like that as well. But weather protection really is key here. It's a lightly insulated product, a 200-gram insulation package, great for winter hiking or snowshoeing, or honestly, even someone that just wants to go out and walk the dog in the winter and
Yeah, right.
to keep you warm and protected. So.
And you mentioned 200 grams of insulation. How many grams would be like a heavy, sort of really, not heavy is the wrong word, but like a really warm, like mountaineering boot versus 200?
Actually, most mountaineering boots, because you're still pretty active, are 200 gram.
Okay.
When you start to get into some of the higher altitude products, for sure, you're going to have different insulation packages that add up to a lot more than a 200 gram insulation, but they might be mixing in things like aerogel and different foam layers and all kinds of,
Yeah, right.
different
Other types of
technologies in there. But
insulating technology.
we find this 200 gram package to be just enough warmth, but you're not overheating when you're active. Because if you're hiking or snowshoeing, you're still moving pretty good and generating heat, and you want some warmth, but just not overkill. So.
So we got an insulated product in here with this Primaloft Pure, which is using some recycled content in that, and then utilizing the GORE-TEX EPE booty construction on the inside, which is also wrapping in recycled content in the face and the backer of that, and then PFAS free in the membrane. There's another really kind of cool call out on this, which is, to my knowledge, is the first I've seen in this type of shoe, and that's the Reco reflector in a shoe, right? We've seen it in
Correct.
years ago. I've saw it in ski jackets, and now we've
Yeah.
seen it in more and more garments. And then I started to see it in ski boots, and I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense, right? And then even skis have them, but now this is interesting, adding them into boots for sort of every day. What does a Reco reflector do? What's the point of adding it in here?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. It's the first time, to my knowledge as well, that it's been incorporated into this type of product. Definitely came out of the snow sports industries. We've started putting some in our mountaineering products and some of our ski boots. Reco is basically a passive reflector. That sort of orange looking little rectangle there towards the bottom of the screen is what the reflector looks like. So it doesn't require battery power. It's never going to run out of juice or anything like that. But increasingly, more and more, they have the ability to do very quick search and rescue, grid search type of operations, which you see here. They basically suspend this detector below a helicopter, and they have a massive and very quick and efficient search capacity. They do 1 square kilometer every 6 minutes. So increasingly more so, than in snow sports is often thought of as maybe a body recovery scenario or
Right.
things like that
Let's
historically.
not put the rescuers at additional risk. Let's make the person easy to find. It's
Exactly,
different.
exactly. But in this case, it is actually an opportunity to actually find someone that has a Reco in some part of their kit. Find them very quickly if they're lost in the wilderness or something like that. So it was born in Europe, and it's fairly common there now, and it's starting to expand across North America in different locations where they have to have this helicopter set up with the receiver technology to do it. But it's expanding for sure.
Yeah, no, it's cool to think of this, right? And I do think this is coming, and you all made the decision to put this into the boot. Again, just as an early adopter into technology, which I often think of SCARPA as something really pushing the industry forward. And it's interesting to see this, and I do think we're going to see more of this in shoes. They're sort of snowballing in. To some point, we're at a real critical mass that all SAR outfits will have a Reco reflector to start using.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't add a lot of cost. It pretty much lasts forever as a passive reflector within the equipment. And so, yeah, to your point, it just really makes a lot of sense to have it in a product where someone might get lost in the backcountry.
Very cool, right? And so that runs us through the kind of some of the features that we're getting in this new Marine Polar into this GORE-TEX shoe. So very cool shoe. This is out now, out soon.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Recently, within the last week or two, we've started shipping. So
Great, that's awesome. So this is just
yeah,
dropping, and
yeah,
we're kind of
exactly.
seeing it here first. So that's the Marine Polar GTX. Let's bump into a really cool hike-oriented shoe, right? And this is the Rush 2 Gore-Tex. This looks like something I'd really want to hike in. Lightweight, snappy. Explain to me a little bit about where the Rush 2 comes from and what you're thinking here.
Yeah, exactly. Well, at the risk of overusing the word hybrid, this is actually a hybrid shoe. So basically what we wanted to do was create a supportive light hiking shoe that felt more like a running shoe. So, at first glance, yes, it looks like a pretty, structured trail running shoe. And the reason for that is it's all synthetic materials, it's fabric and PU overlays, things you would definitely find, in the upper of a running shoe. It's an EVA midsole, also, from a running shoe type buildup. But in this, we insert a TPU frame to give it more stability in the rear and support. It's that blue piece you see in this graphic here. We've got various densities of EVA for support and cushioning, but also, softness right underneath the feet. You see in those lighter gray inserts underneath the heel and the ball of the foot. So really just trying to, a lot of people hike in trail running shoes these days, and for some people that might not be enough support and protection. So really, we're trying to blend the best of both worlds. So that's what we've done here with the Rush 2.
Right, giving a little more density up in that forefoot of the EVA than you might get in a running shoe, a little more rock protection, also a little longer, a little more longevity by having that density kind of pre-built into it. But I love that you're offsetting some of that higher density with those low density EVA inserts, those little bumper pads under the forefoot and under the heel, right? So that when you first get into that shoe, what does everybody do? They rock forward and they rock backwards, right, on the
Yep.
shoe, and they're going to feel those pads. So it's nice. You may not be able to see them, but it's good for as salespeople to be able to point that out. Hey, you feel that? That's actually that sort of cushioning on the outside. But the rest of the shoe is actually going to give you additional support through there. It's a cool thought.
That's exactly right. And of course, for the upper, we're using a GORE-TEX invisible fit, so you get the
Yeah.
GORE-TEX waterproof protection, but the sort of enhanced comfort of the invisible fit construction as well inside. So
Yeah, and I'm a huge fan of the invisible fit as well. So this thing's really looking like something I would want to hike in. And then you've got, this is a subtle feature, but it's cool. The IKAS, which is assists in grip. What's this?
Yeah, so IKS, you'll see this similar type of technology in another product we'll probably get to here in a few minutes. But IKS is the interactive kinetic system, and basically, on the lower left, you see those sort of five circular shapes there. We've basically mapped out this midsole where those zones are slightly concave underneath, and they're basically designed to sort of collapse a little bit. And what that does is it engages, once you weight it, it engages the lugs a little bit more with the terrain, but it also provides basically impact absorption by that sort of mechanical, collapsing of those shapes. So it basically sort of adapts to the terrain and enhances the traction and the cushioning at the same time.
Yeah, it's cool, right? Again, as we get into these sort of higher density EVAs, right, or sort of midsole components, as we'll see in another shoe that we're going to explore, the ability for the tread to kind of react to we're not walking on pavement, right? We're
Exactly.
walking on uneven surfaces, and you want those the lug pattern to be able to dig in as needed where it needs to
Yeah.
go.
Think about like an independent suspension in some ways. You got different areas, kind of functioning a little bit differently to react to the terrain.
Yeah, I haven't picked up one of these shoes, but the first thing I'm going to do when I get it is going to put my fingers into those little zones to see if I can
Yeah.
feel that.
Like you said,
Uh,
it's subtle, but it does. They've done lots of studies on it and to prove its effectiveness. So
Well, there's a lot of subtle tech in this rush, which is kind of all of that builds up to be this kind of cool shoe. And we were talking about how you go back to the Italians and you talk about, well, here's what American feet need, and this is what our fitters need, right? And this is feedback you've heard from retailers. Look at this profile top down, right? This is not what I think of as an Italian toe profile.
yeah, exactly. Our fit has evolved over the years. Obviously, we are, as I said, 85-plus-year-old Italian brand, and historically, people think of Italian fit as pretty narrow, but we've worked pretty hard over the last 5 to 10 years to really moderate that fit a bit to make it more conducive to the North American market, which does mean definitely a little bit wider in the forefoot, a little bit rounder toe profile, and you can see it pretty well here when you look at the top view of these shoes. We still want to maintain that heel fit and that midfoot fit right across the lacing zone, but we want to open up that toe shape just a little bit rounder, make it a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, cool shoe. And so this is now coming in in a low and also offering this in a mid. So there are various options for getting getting this shoe onto people's feet.
Exactly, and I think the mid may be probably pretty unique in the fact that it's also the invisible fit. I don't think there's many options out there in more of a mid cut.
No, the Invisible Fit Mid is a new technology for us. It's something that we're very excited about at Gore, and we're going to start to see a lot more of this moving forward. But again, early adopter here as you're adapting some of these new technologies and bringing them forward to us in the
Yeah,
market. So that's
exactly.
really cool. So that's the Rush 2 low and mid Gore-Tex. And then let's take a look at the Zodiac Tech, right? Let's bump this away from hiking into mountaineering, into these are just fun shoes to play with and look at. To me, I see this as something that'd be just amazing in the Pacific Northwest, where your kind of approaches a little bit of glacier, snow, and then maybe some technical rock, or maybe low fifth or fourth class as we get to the summit. And so that's going to be built into this shoe here.
That's exactly right. We just added about 5,000 feet of elevation gain here as we jump up to the Zodiac Tech. So we're into the kind of the lighter end of our mountaineering collection here with the Zodiac Tech. So it is definitely a boot that's built for technical, alpine climbing and things like that, whether it's on rock or just different types of terrain, obviously. Some people, it's light enough that some people might choose this as sort of a heavy duty backpacking boot as well, especially if they're going into, more technical terrain. But it does have a little bit more of a trimmer fit profile. It laces a little closer to the toe. We've got really high quality Prevenger suede leather here. We've got a full rand all the way around. It's semi-automatic crampon compatible. You can see the insert at the heel there. And then we do have a special midsole technology in this product as well. And of course, GORE-TEX Performance Comfort in the upper for the waterproof protection.
We'll talk a little bit about that midsole performance. So what's going on here that's special in this midsole?
Yeah, this is not too dissimilar from what we talked about earlier with the IKS. We call this one the Bascula Adaptive System, and this is a PU midsole instead of an EVA midsole, so it's more durable, more robust, more supportive. But it has a similar type of story here. In this graphic on the upper right, you see those orange zones. Those zones are actually softer PU, and down below you can see that softer PU actually allows the lugs to adapt independently to the terrain. So as I said earlier, independent suspension. These lugs are able to and react to the terrain and keep better ground contact, and therefore, kind of enhance your stability underfoot through this technology.
Right, so you can kind of get friction because the lugs are landing flat in addition to traction because the lugs are going to bite in, right? You get a little
Exactly.
bit of both, which is kind of
Yeah.
going to give you some confidence for sure and some trust as you get up there into more technical terrain where you need every ounce of grip, especially running up boulder fields and scree and things like that, rock hopping, that type of thing.
That's exactly right. Just maintaining more surface contact with the terrain for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, and then just integrating in nothing but premium components into here, including GORE-TEX technology on this shoe, right? So just bringing it up there to that elevated SCARPA quality that I think have come to expect a bit.
Exactly. I mean, as we push into, sustainability and more features like that, one of our strong beliefs is that durability is a sustainability feature, because the longer the product lasts, the fewer times you have to purchase that product. It keeps more product out of the landfill at the end of life or what have you. So we definitely, durability is definitely one of the things that we really push to achieve.
Well, Mark, it's kind of cool to look at these three shoes, right? We talked about the Marine Polar GTX, the Rush mid and low GTX and the hike product, and then this guy in the sort of mountaineering, sort of light mountaineering. I mean, it's for hardcore mountaineering, but it's not a big overboot, right? Not a high
Right.
altitude product.
Yeah.
With this particular shoe, and right, I can see that in the guide's choice. Absolutely, right. Just something that you can
Yeah, a
kind
lot of guides
of
do choose this boot because it's quite nimble and fairly lightweight for what it is, but it gives them the technical performance that they really need, to do their job. So,
as we kind of start to wrap up a little bit, what kind of parting thoughts do you have? Like, what do you want us to kind of really remember about SCARPA as we sort of start to see SCARPA shoes on our walls, whether they be climbing shoes, your new ski boot, you have finally, not finally, I mean, there's a next generation of telemark boots has been launched and just really given some reinvigoration to that sport. What do you want us to really remember about SCARPA?
yeah, it's you touched on it right at the beginning when we opened this half-hour session here. You talked about the Terminator, which is the original plastic telemark ski boot, which we've just relaunched a new version that's actually shipping right now out to retailers, and so that's a product that's been around since the early '90s, 30 plus years. The SL, more than 20 years, 25 years. That product's been in the line. So while we make a ton of classics, we also have a lot of new innovation and technology that's coming into the line. And I think a lot of people know SCARPA for the categories that they're closer to, whether that's, my climbing shoes are SCARPA, or I tele ski and SCARPA ski boots or whatever. But to be honest, we were actually a hiking and mountaineering company before we did any climbing shoes or any ski boots, going back to the 1930s. So we offer a broad array of products, from backpacking to light hiking to trail running now. Of course, we're very well known for climbing shoes, backcountry ski boots, telemark ski boots, mountaineering boots, approach shoes, all that. But yeah, we've got a pretty broad line, and I would just encourage people to kind of explore some of the other offerings that we have in different categories that they might not be that familiar with at this point. The other thing I would say too is like a lot of brands, of course, we're pushing harder on the sustainability front, pursuing B Corp certification, which is difficult to do as a footwear company. I will tell you.
Yeah, right. A lot of the tanning and things like that
Oh
is
yeah,
huge.
yeah, yeah. A lot of components. We do actually still own 75 to 80% of our manufacturing, basically vertical ownership there. So that's a bit unique also in the footwear space.
Yeah.
Lots of people will just go out and find a third party, factory to make the product for them. And we do that in some cases as well. But the vast majority of our product is still made by factories that we own. So we're very close to that process and the quality and things like that we can really keep a close eye on.
Yeah,
So
you keep close eye on the factories that you own, right? You can kind of understand that total top to bottom construction process, right? Integrating in the very best cobblers, the very best processes. But even when and for some of the shoes, we just simply you can't make everything right there in Europe. Even when you go out overseas, you're going to then work to upskill those factories and maybe even lend some of your expertise to these factories. It's people make
that's
the shoes
exactly
in the
right.
end, right? And you got to upskill.
Yeah, I mean the 25% or whatever of our production that's in Asia. I mean, we're taking our lasts over there. In some cases, we're even importing equipment from Italy to there and saying, hey, you need to use this machine to do this process because you need to get to this end result. This is what we
Right.
expect
This
as
is
a
how we make
brand.
shoes, and we expect this,
Exactly,
right?
exactly. So that's a pretty cool partnership that we have with some of those third-party manufacturers that we use. It's no matter where it's made in the world, it has to live up to our quality and performance expectations. So
Mark, as always, it's great to chat with you, and I'm glad we're kind of reconnected. It's pretty fun. Um, I have learned so much from you over the years on footwear, and you're also, an experienced trail runner. Although it's been a while since I've trail run with you. I think there was maybe a sales meeting in Salt Lake City one time. We all went for a run,
I think
right?
so. I think that's right. Yep.
Which was pretty fun. But anyway, it's cool to see what you're doing to Scarpa North America. So thank you very much for joining us tonight, and thanks for navigating this ship for us in North America and presenting us with really cool products like some of these Scarpa products that we've talked
Yeah,
about.
thank you, Marshall, for the opportunity and for arranging all this. Thanks to everyone on the call for taking the time to join in and learn more about Scarpa products. We hope you'll explore some of the resources that we mentioned and learn more on your own. So again, thanks everyone. Really appreciate the opportunity.